Alright, it is August 17th, 2024. Reverend Dr. Andrew Winmuth for A Strong City, and I am reading a piece of evidence in the original State versus Erby. I'm reading an email I had on file from November 10th of 2021 at 7:40 p.m. The subject is crime victim assistance. And the correspondence was with Amy C. O'Grady. Amy O'Grady with the Columbus City Attorney's Office, I believe. Let me just make sure I'm correct about that. Alright. Let's see. Yeah, it's at columbus.gov, so that would be Amy O'Grady at the Columbus City Attorney's Office. And here's what we got. So on November 10th, I emailed Amy O'Grady, and here's what I said. I said, let me know when you are available and I will make it to you. Of course, my communication is limited to email at the present time, but I will try to check in tomorrow morning. Anytime after, say, noon should work just fine if you're available as early as tomorrow. I can come to your office or we can meet at a public library if you're working remotely. I have gone to the courthouse a couple of times recently and visited both the March Clinic area and Self-Help Resource Center and found both to be of no meaningful assistance. I kept getting handed flyers and phone numbers which, after my phones and computers were stolen and destroyed by William Erby, in effort to keep me from reaching out for help whenever I was brutally attacked, and the phones and computers were stolen and destroyed, and of course are of no use. As noted, I am especially disturbed by CPD's misconduct in these crimes in failing to properly investigate and arrest the responsible parties. The issue of restitution was never addressed in any of the cases which were prosecuted, which is a clear violation of my constitutional rights as a crime victim under Marcy's law. Subsequent research shows that both the Ohio Constitution, the Ohio Revised Code, and also United States Code do protect crime victims and entitle them to full restitution. None of that was offered to me during the course of these proceedings, and my subsequent attempts to enforce my rights have been denied by Franklin County Common Pleas Court Judge Karen Held Phipps and so many others, and there will be major prosecutions, and many as a result. And we're talking about criminal prosecutions of police prosecutors, very inhumane individuals who just don't care about their neighbors and people reaching out for help when they're the innocent victims of crime. So, as noted, I go on. I'm especially disturbed by CPD's misconduct in these crimes in failing to properly investigate and arrest the responsible parties. The issue of restitution was never addressed in any of these cases. Okay, I already covered that, sorry. So, additionally, the individual who stabbed me in mid-May, William Jamar Erby, was recently released from jail as I've been seeking treatment for PTSD resulting from the violent attacks and those that ensued. I would like to see him arrested at once on the additional charges, as well as his alleged father, Billy Hart, for receiving my stolen property and failing to render aid as his son attempted to murder me in Hart's home as I begged him to call 911. Execution of a search warrant for the stolen property is appropriate and will likely yield evidence of additional crimes. We can address the additional crimes against me after they, Hart and Erby, are jailed to ensure my safety. Hart and Erby remain free 3 years later, and more evidence of perjury and criminal misconduct within Franklin County judicial system and law enforcement's human rights violations, but certainly criminal conspiracy and clear evidence of massive public corruption. So Amy O'Grady goes on to say, I actually wanted you to come in at 9:30 because of my medical appointment. I'm sorry we missed each other. What's the easiest way we can see each other? Do you have an address? So I went into the Franklin County City Attorney's Office that day. Had to wait an exorbitant amount of time as a traumatized crime victim, and somehow missed Amy O'Grady. I shouldn't have had to go in at all. I was a crime victim. I properly reported this to police. There's no reason to drag a crime victim back and forth and make crazy demands to protect the public. This guy's an attempted murderer, rapist, and kidnapper, among much more, and she wants to make an office appointment. That is criminal. Period. Under the Ohio Revised Code, any person has an obligation to report a crime, and certainly when you're in law enforcement or prosecutors, you have an obligation to act on that information to protect the public, to protect the citizens, and to protect God's children. So, frustrated, what started this email chain on Tuesday, November 9th, 2021 at 5:34 p.m., I sent Amy O'Grady, Zach Klein, the prosecutor of Columbus, also Gary Tyack, the Franklin County prosecutor. Looks like numerous deputies, deputy prosecutors, Columbus 311, City Service Center, Internal Affairs at Columbus Division of Police, also Victim Services at Columbus Division of Police. Just a slew of staff members, employees of the City of Columbus. A slew of them, all of which were made aware of this and are criminally responsible for all the crimes that occurred after being made aware. We have here, don't forget A. Townsend at columbus.gov. I believe she's a Columbus City Council staff member who were made aware of this and have done nothing to stop it. Gibbons at columbus.gov. Let's see here. J.L. Moore at columbus.gov. Also, members of the media, the Columbus Dispatch, and news at WSYX6.com, as well as WBNS 10 TV. I have made media outlets aware of this stuff for years, and nobody wants to pick it up. They are blinded, quite literally due to 2 Thessalonians 2. They're blinded to the tricks of the devil, and he's running rampant to try to keep this from being exposed. But I'm here to say, in Jesus' name, it is finished. Here's what I wrote back in 2021, an open letter to Amy O'Grady at the Columbus City Attorney's Office from Reverend Andrew D. Winmouth concerning urgent matters of public interest and public safety, I might add. So I said, Amy, I came to your office this morning as instructed when I'd come in last week. So they drove me down there not once but twice. But apparently you had an unexpected medical appointment and were running late. Please find attached several police reports I've completed. Most of these have not been assigned report numbers. I went to police headquarters in an attempt to report the numerous crimes, many of which are felonies, but CPD officer Seng at the main desk in the entryway would not take official reports and would not let me meet with another officer. I then attempted to submit a report concerning the receipt of stolen property to a CPD officer at the 13th precinct. The officer did take a report concerning unauthorized use of my SNAP EBT card for more than $313 at Kroger on Parsons Avenue, but refused a report concerning the receipt of numerous items of stolen property that I had written. So, and that SNAP EBT card was taken during a sexual assault, during robbery, theft of a motor vehicle, all kinds of heinous stuff that occurred after William Erby lured me into the home of his father on Wilson Avenue in Columbus, Ohio. The refusal of these, I might add that when that happened, and I narrowly escaped for my life, when that happened, actually, Phil, you Ubered me, come here a minute. Let me ask you a question. Do you remember the night you Ubered me from East Livingston Avenue, and you were staying at Home 2 Suites in Columbus? Do you remember that?
Yes.
What do you remember about that?
You said that you had gotten into an altercation that you needed a safe place to stay and to recover and call the police. So I Ubered you over to where I was at.
What happened there?
You came over, you called the police, you talked to them, took a shower, and then went to sleep.
Do you remember how I looked?
You looked very distraught and overwhelmed. You had some scratches on your face and a black eye.
Did I say who did it?
Yes.
What did I say about that?
You said it was your boyfriend, William.
Who?
Your boyfriend, William Erby.
And do you remember any other incidents between us?
There were a couple, yes.
Like what? Let's tell me what you remember, man. Let's go ahead and
One time
get this out there.
you called me and asked you to follow you and him somewhere because you were afraid he was going to harm himself or you while he was going to pick up something or drop off something. There was another time you asked me to come over to hang out because you were afraid that he might do something while you guys were at the house. Those are all the ones I can really think of off the top of my head.
Did anything happen when you came over to hang out that day?
He got really defensive and really upset and asked me to leave.
What do you mean defensive?
He just said like we have a lot going on. I don't know why Andrew didn't run this by me first, and something else, and that you guys had plans or something, and that you believe.
Was he violent or anything? Or aggressive?
Not physically, but he was aggressive. He was aggressive.
Okay. So I guess. Well, actually, I do got one other question. So I recently sent subpoenas to at least 12 people in a small claims action that was filed. Unfortunately, I shouldn't have had to file that small claims action. I'm entitled to full restitution as a crime victim, and Phil is too. Phil had a laptop computer on loan to me the night that I was sexually assaulted on Wilson Avenue, and the laptop computer was in a rented Nissan Murano that William cleaned out. Do you remember having that? Do you remember loaning that or having me hold that laptop computer for you?
Yes, I do.
So, it's too much. Have you gotten a subpoena yet, Phil?
Not that I know of, no. I just checked with Emily, no, I have not.
And what's the date today?
August 17th, 2024.
All right. So it's August 17th. Those subpoenas were issued before the 1st of August. They were requested before the 1st of August with a hearing on the 22nd before Judge Kirk. Judge Kirk, I think is his last name. Franklin County Small Police Court. I also have an audio recording that I'll be posting where Judge Kirk was notified of Erby's felonies in addition to every single judge and magistrate in Columbus and Franklin County, Ohio. All of which must be disbarred. Period. They must be disbarred and cleaned out. Because every one of them have been notified that there's an attempted murder, rapist, kidnapper, and more with a sworn affidavit and criminal complaints filed. And none of them have acted to protect me or anybody else. And that is criminal. Period. I guess one last question, Phil, before I finish reading this letter. Last question is, how long have you known me? That's not the last question, excuse me. I got a couple more questions.
8 years.
You've known me about 8 years. So since the issue with William Erby, what kind of condition have I been in, or have you observed or experienced with our interactions?
You've been very sporadic, very scared and apprehensive, just not the same person you were when I first met you.
What about my housing situation or transportation?
It's been very up and down. It's been, you've been staying place to place, going back and forth, and you've had your transportation is, you had a car at one point, but then that, something happened with that, so you haven't really had reliable transportation or housing for quite some time.
So, and there were many nights I stayed with you at your mother's house because I had nowhere to sleep in the bitterest cold of winter, weren't there, Phil?
Yes.
And that's egregious. All that because Columbus police failed to do their jobs, because prosecutors failed to do their jobs, and because judges continue to allow a very, very dangerous individual to go free, almost certainly because it was a same-sex gay relationship and not a female reporting being abducted and attempted murder numerous times. That, yet another reason why they have to be prosecuted. I'll just finish reading this letter to Amy O'Grady from back in 2021 after Franklin County prosecutors Haley Pullman and Janet Grubb perjured themselves before Judge Karen Phipps, who had no business hearing the initial claim and violated my rights in not giving me an opportunity to be heard. That letter from Amy O'Grady, when I was telling her I was still in danger after they released Erby without notifying me. So I said, the refusal of these Columbus Division of Police officers to receive proper and true reports of bona fide criminal activity. The reports I gave them were absolutely true. I will testify to that in any court of law, so help me God. And I said, let alone to the police to properly investigate and prosecute the crimes. As a matter of fact, the few reports that were taken contained blatantly false information, as Detective Robert Tharp was made well aware and has failed to act on and failed to prosecute a sexual assault, and probably many more once the records are properly investigated. I'm sure we'll find some more misconduct by each and every one of these officers, and they need to be prosecuted as quickly as possible. It's a very serious problem. I reported numerous crimes against my person and property this year concerning which police never followed up and no arrests were ever made. And that's and I've done that again this year in 2024. And now we're taking videos. Now we're posting them. Now we've got evidence to get justice. This is precisely why I'm requesting, one, that the attached reports of those previously submitted by me, including 911 calls and other telephone communications which were not documented by CPD, or inadequately so, that they be investigated and that all action deemed appropriate and just be taken thereafter. Many crucial facts were omitted from the police reports that were made as shown by summaries available online. I am further asking that your office forward these cases of egregious police misconduct to CPD Internal Affairs and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, which I understand is already undertaking a review of the Columbus Division of Police for its misconduct. Months after being the victim of increasingly violent crime, my civil rights violated, unremedied city code enforcement violations, and other crimes, and being re-victimized time and time again, I'm still without any meaningful assistance or even a telephone by which I can call 911 should the need arise, now that my primary assailant has been released from jail. After reaching out to dozens, if not hundreds, of government and nonprofit organizations, Officer Singh at the CPD said the CPD doesn't even have a victim witness assistance unit, though I'd corresponded with an officer from that unit not long before going to police headquarters. There's a major problem in this city, and the lack of concern for and assistance to victims of violent crimes such as myself and citizens in general must be remedied. I'm sure you, the city attorney, and this was to Zach Klein, City Attorney Zach Klein now, and others will be who will be made aware of these issues will agree. Well, unfortunately, their lips agree, but their actions do not. And I've recently, unfortunately, had to file a federal lawsuit, including City Attorney Zach Klein, who is grandstanding quite horribly, because he's lying. He is a liar. Not only a liar, but he's endangering our community in so doing. Here's what we got. And I'm going to go ahead and skip down to Prosecutor Klein's, City Attorney Klein's culpability in this. Let's see here. This is probably a big reason there's so much violence and crime in this city. there's a Lynn Caswell. She's in the email thread as well. Yeah, there's a response in here from Zach. Let's see. There we go. On Friday, September 10th, 2021 at 6:57 a.m. From Klein, Zachary M. Now this is directly from the City Attorney. On September 10th, 2021, he says, the subject of my message, by the way, with Lynn Caswell CC'd, is urgent crime victim assistance. That was my request. Klein said, Mr. Winmouth, thank you for reaching out to me. I'm adding Lynn Caswell to this email to assist you in any way she can. Lynn is the head of our DV unit. And it's signed Zach, sent from my iPhone. So that is direct involvement in culpability, criminal culpability, for conspiracy to aid and abet attempted murder. Conspiracy to aid and abet victim witness retaliation, obstruction of justice, conspiracy to aid and abet kidnapping, conspiracy to aid and abet sexual assault, conspiracy to aid and abet every other crime that was committed by William Erby, and also the retaliation that's been had ever since. It is now 4:05 a.m. It is August 17th, 2024. And for Zach Klein, you know what? Let's go ahead and read Lynn Caswell's involvement. Because after that message, I got a message from Mary L. Caswell, ML Caswell at columbus.gov. And she says, Mr. Winmouth, thank you for reaching out. Who is threatening you? I'm concerned that your most pressing need is for safe housing. I've included Miss O'Grady on this email, as she is very knowledgeable about emergency housing. I see that Mr. Erby is on probation for crimes where you're the survivor. Have you reached out to the probation advocate? I look forward to hearing from you. Sincerely, Lynn Caswell, Director of the Domestic Violence and Stalking Unit, Columbus City Attorney Zach Klein, 375 South High Street, blah, 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 blah. Then I have a message from Amy C. O'Grady on Friday, September 10th, 2021 at 2:01 p.m. And O'Grady says, Reverend Winmouth, calling you now. And then thanks, Amy. Let's see. We have another message from Amy C. O'Grady, Wednesday, September 15th, 2021 at 7:38 a.m. Hi, Reverend Winmouth. Thanks for talking with me yesterday. First, I'd like to see if I could get you to come down to the March Clinic, Impact, blah, blah, blah. Just have security where you need to go. If you need, and I'm skipping a few lines here, if you give me enough of a heads up, I can try to meet you just to make sure you receive the help you need. So after all this, they run through all this blah, 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 blah. After I told them I was being threatened by someone who was on probation out for violent attacks. That is criminal. Criminal. Zach Klein, Lynn Caswell, Amy O'Grady, as the victim or survivor of these, I insist, as a citizen of this community, and as a child of God, I insist that these people be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, and I will provide all the evidence and testimony, truthful sworn testimony, as the Lord lives, to give them the maximum penalty, so that prosecutors and police going forward never, ever, ever think they can get away with this bullshit again, because it has hurt me untold, me and others, certainly, me for 3 years at least. God only knows how many other people they have allowed to get killed, brutally attacked, or otherwise harmed, let alone the property being damaged or destroyed. Criminal. And it's obviously conspiracy. There's 3 parties right there, and not one of them did anything about it. Period. So, in my open letter to Amy O'Grady, I think we've already covered that. Where I report Columbus police misconduct. I specifically requested the FBI be notified. It has not been. That is a cover-up. Period. 4:08 a.m., 8/17/2024. I'm Reverend Dr. Andrew D. Winmouth, and as the Lord lives, every bit of what I've said and what I will say is absolutely true. And it's egregious. In Jesus' name, amen.